As Melisandre of Game of Thrones once said, the night is dark and full of terrors. But as you watch this next video, we're going to change that phrase to the world is dark and full of terrors. Sit back and relax and join us as we look at some places you never want to visit. North Sentinel Island in India. The Northern Sentinel Island has remained almost completely remote from the outside world because it's believed to be where a bunch of tribes, including the Jarawa, the Great Andamanese, the Onge, and the Sentinelese, have lived for almost 55,000 years. These tribes are completely self-sufficient, and if tourists encroach on their homes, they have a chance of contracting deadly diseases that are most likely going to decimate the population. Sentinel Island did make headlines in 2006 after a couple of fishermen had illegally approached the Sentinelese tribes and they killed them, forcing a 3-mile zone to be imposed around the island for safety. Although tourists probably should not be snooping around one of the most dangerous tribes' home base, it's likely that if anything else should happen, including tourism expansion throughout the island by larger companies, the tribes may be forcibly removed by the government. All I know is you don't want to have any part of these tribal groups that still hunt pigs and turtles and fish with bows and arrows. I mean, most of us wouldn't really stand a chance against someone who's lived off the land their entire life. So, Sentinel Island definitely ranks as one of the most dangerous places that not even the Indian government has been able to get close to. We still have no idea exactly what lies behind the lush landscape and the remoteness of the island. And maybe it's just better if we just don't find out. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Now, you know that old saying, speak no evil, hear no evil, see no evil? Well, that's not necessarily the case with the massive amount of trash that ends up in the ocean landing in what we now refer to as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It's more likely that if you ever end up anywhere near this trash pile, you're going to be shocked to discover that humans created a disgusting wasteland of filth in the middle of the ocean. What's even more shocking is that 80% of the debris comes from the land activities in North America and Asia. Trash that has accumulated takes about 6 years to come from North America and just 1 year from Japan and other Asian countries. The rest of the debris comes from boaters, offshore oil rigs, and large cargo ships, most of them being fishing nets that are left behind. The reason that a whole lot of people don't really know about this garbage vortex is because it's too far from any country's coastline, and not one single nation wants the responsibility of cleaning it up. That's because it's so polluted and dirty that it could easily bankrupt any country that tried, and it's also not really clear exactly how much debris there is. So it makes for one fishy situation that you don't want to be anywhere near. But who knows? Maybe if a country did claim it and made it a tourist attraction, where you'd be forced to clean up just a little bit every time you wanted to take a photo, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch would both be getting funds from tourists and a free cleanup crew to resolve the issue. The Edinburgh Vaults of Scotland. Edinburgh is a city rich in both history and superstition, which is why it's no wonder that when a newly completed South Bridge began to experience flooding in the chambers, people believed it to be cursed, refusing to even use it. South Bridge didn't exactly go unused though, and instead would become the Edinburgh Vaults, where a series of underground chambers would be formed in the 19 arches, completed in 1788. These vaults were used as house taverns, cobblers used them, and other tradesmen did as well, for it was rumored that it was a storage space for illicit materials, some of which was reportedly the bodies of people killed by serial killers Burke and Hare for their medical experiments. As the vaults began to deteriorate, since they couldn't hold their own against the natural elements, the air quality then became damp and poor, and business left town, leaving the vaults for the forsaken of the city. The poorest of its citizens would move in the 1820s, but they were believed to have left as well. It was only revealed by an excavation team in 1985 that people had actually lived down there, That's because there were heaps of toys, medicine bottles, plates, and other signs of human life that were left behind. The vaults are now used for ghost tours, and it's said to be one of the creepiest and darkest places. So, if you're brave enough to venture through the vaults, don't forget to bring a flashlight. Snake Island in Brazil. One place in the world that you're never going to want to step foot on unless you're really interested in snakes is Snake Island. And as the name suggests, it's full of deadly, venomous snakes and off limits to all humans. It's rumored that there are between 1 and 5 snakes for every meter, although this claim could be just a little bit exaggerated according to Marcelo Duarte, a biologist that says to have visited Snake Island over 20 times. He claims that it seems to be about 1 snake per square meter, although even that means that you're never more than 3 feet away from death. The snakes on the island are a unique species of pit viper called the golden lancehead, and they can grow up to over a meter long, with their poisonous bites being so strong they can instantaneously melt your flesh. They should probably just rename this island to something more ominous, like Death Island, so no one ever steps foot on it mistakenly thinking that it's just an island full of harmless garden snakes. Although, if they do talk to the natives, they're sure to steer clear of this poisonous, deadly place. Overtoun Bridge, Milton, Scotland. If you like your furry, 4-legged friend, you're probably going to want to steer clear of Overtoun Bridge in the village of Milton in Scotland. This strange bridge has caused humans to jump to their death, but it's also caused hundreds of man's best friend to leap off of it as well. The bridge has become such a nuisance, in fact, that there is now a sign that reads, "Dangerous Bridge, keep your dog on a lead." At least 50 dogs in the past 50 years have jumped from the bridge, and strangely enough, both jumping and landing in almost the same spot. Always jumping off of the same side of the bridge. The dogs that have made the jump include long-nosed breeds like Labradors, Collies, and Retrievers. And during one 6-month period in 2005, at least 5 dogs would take the plunge to their death, 50 feet below. One of the more strange things is that people that have seen the odd occurrence explain that even the dogs that survive the jump will run back up and jump again from the exact same spot, as if they're intentionally trying to kill themselves. It's suggested that the scent of mink urine drives the dog's prey instinct, although one of the local hunters has said that there hasn't even ever been evidence of mink living anywhere near the bridge. The bridge also has been site of human tragedy. In 1994, Kevin Moy threw his 2-week-old son over the bridge, explaining that he believed his son was the incarnation of the devil. Moy tried to commit suicide several times by jumping over the bridge and then slashing his wrists. He would be arrested before he could even end his life, and was found not guilty because he was supposedly insane during the murder. So, unless you want to be charged as criminally insane or have your dog leap to their doom, I suggest you stay as far away from this bridge as possible. Surtsey, Iceland. Surtsey Island off the coast of Iceland was formed after a volcanic eruption took place from 1963 to 1967. And then a smaller island was also formed nearby just a few months later, but was washed away by wave erosion. Wave erosion still diminishes the larger island, but it won't entirely cause the island to disappear. Now, if you're curious and want to visit the island, it's probably not really recommended, since you never know when the next eruption is going to take place. Although it's not really recommended for humans to explore, there have been plenty of birds, animals, and plants that make what was a newly formed island in the late 60s their home. The island began to grow plants as seeds traveled through the wind from nearby places and landing on Surtsey. Seals quickly made the island a nice spot to bask in the sun, and the island was named a World Heritage Site in 2008 for scientific research. That's because it's one of the first islands that humans were able to document and research, as it went from barren land to thriving with different types of animals and plant species. However, there's no telling when the next volcanic eruption will cause the island to restart all over again. Room 39 in North Korea. Now, here's a room that's believed to be the place where the secretive North Korean party organization seeks ways to continue to maintain a foreign currency slush fund for the country's leaders. These leaders have included Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, and Kim Jong-un. The organization was believed to be started in the 1970s, all in a way to gain political power through large sums of cash. Room 39 may be located inside of a ruling workers' party building, but its doors are as locked and guarded as the secret party's plans themselves. The organization is believed to bring in anywhere from $500 million to $1 billion per year or more with their illegal activities. These activities include counterfeiting $100 bills, producing controlled substances like meth and heroin, and also international insurance fraud. North Korea's seclusion also makes it difficult to evaluate this information, but it's believed that Room 39 is the key to Kim Jong-un's power, allowing him to buy political support and also fund the country's nuclear weapons program. What I do know, though, is that I wouldn't want to be the person that discovers the room that holds the secrets of one of the world's most dangerous and explosive dictators. What are some places that you think should have made the list? And why are they places that you shouldn't visit? Let me know all about it in the comments below. And while you're here, thanks for watching, and subscribe for more in the future. Guantanamo Bay. Now, we can't get through this list without mentioning the most well-known CIA prison, named Gitmo, but also affectionately known as the Guantanamo Bay Detention Camp. And it's located in, you guessed it, Cuba. Gitmo was established in 2002 by the George W. Bush administration during Bush's War on Terror, and it soon became a touchy subject for human